The church in Ephesus was a church of giftings. Not just giftings like the Corinthian church. The Corinthian church had gifts of the Spirit, but the church in Ephesus had stature in the Spirit. That's why in Revelation, the Bible said they proved the apostles. They could tell who is a fake from who is a genuine person. They had that level of discernment. But when Paul came into their midst, he knew that all of that spiritual prowess did not give them relevance as touching their eternal ordination. Because when he x-rayed them, he knew what they were lacking was love. And so when he started praying, he gave us the second article of vision. He said, concerning this church. No, let's do 3 verse 15. Ephesians 3 verse 15. See Paul's prayer. He said, for this cause I, Paul, the prisoner of Jesus Christ, of whom the whole family of heaven and earth is named. He said, I bow down my knees to the God that he will grant unto you according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened with might in the inner man, that Christ may dwell in your heart by faith, that you, being rooted and grounded in love. Are you seeing this? May be able to comprehend with all the saints what is the breadth and the length and the depth and the height, and to know the love of Christ with passeth knowledge, that ye might be filled with all the fullness of God. So Paul was teaching them something, a very strange mystery here, that what will bring them into the fullness of God, or spiritual perfection and accuracy, is when their operation is encircled within the boundary of love. And so whichever vision it is you are seeing, if it is not motivated by love, it's not from God. It's selfishness. There are many people who say they have a great vision, either to start a business or to go into politics. All they are thinking of is how their account balance will increase, and then they will start having houses in Bahamas. Have houses. Those are not visions. Those are they are lies. They are mirage. It's a mirage. That's not a vision, because an immortal God will not waste eternity in building something that is for you alone. He said he sent his word to Jacob, he lightened upon Israel. What God is doing in your life is a block in a building that is eternal. You are a part of that block. Imagine if this door decides that it wants to be alone and enjoy itself. This building will never be complete. And so the builder of this building, all of the excellence that is decked on that door is not for the door, it's for the building. You come to certain houses, you look at the window is made of gold. It's not about the window, it's about the building. If you remove that window, outside of that building, it becomes useless. And so when a man says he has a vision and all he's thinking is about himself and his family, that's not a vision. At least it doesn't come from God. Because when God gives you a vision, one thing you discover is that what God will get you to do eventually will be a continuation of what somebody else was doing. This preaching we are preaching today, we are not the first. Some of the revelations we are preaching, patriarchs like Apostle Paul preached them. And we are preaching it, and when we are gone, somebody else will preach it. Some of you who are in government today, there is an assignment God gave somebody some years ago. Maybe Nnamdi Azikiwe started it and he left it, and since then nobody has taken that baton. Everybody who comes is thinking of a Ferrari car, and then he gets money and he buys 7 cars, parks in a building that he never drives. Meanwhile, that car is supposed to improve the quality of his constituency, but he doesn't have a vision. He ran into politics for his appetite. That kind of person cannot say he's seen from God, because the people who gave him that battle were fighting for the emancipation of Nigeria. How come you now become a senator and you are not interested in the emancipation of Nigeria? How come you become a governor and you are not interested? People are backward, and the situation is worse than it was in the colonial era. It means you are not aligned to the vision of governance in Nigeria, and you didn't see from the realm of God. It was your appetite and your manipulation that put you there. And the way you will know is that at the end of time, when you are summoned out of this body, you will be naked, because God will not reward you. You make the life of people worse because of your appetite. But when you find the man who has a vision, it's not about the office of the governor. It's about what he can do with the office of the governor. Because the one who was there, according to God's standard before he came, was doing something to improve the life of humanity that he came to continue. And so when he leaves that office is a platform for manifesting the will of God. That's how you know people who have vision. Those who have genuine vision are decked with the love of God, and that love motivates the direction of their vision. In John chapter 21 from verse 15, Jesus wanted to enthrone Peter, and he said, Peter, lovest thou me more than this? Why was love such a qualification. You are about to pioneer a movement. You are not talking about competence. You are not talking about oratorial power. You are not talking about administrative power. You are talking about love. How can you address the whole world? How can you start a move that will conquer the whole world? Jesus knew that every other thing is in love. That's why he said, when you are rooted and grounded in love, he said you come into the fullness of God. All that God has to offer is in love. But unfortunately, our generation is a generation of selfishness and cruelty. Even among those who sit in church and call themselves brothers and sisters, there is no love there. And that's why most of the things we do is largely religious. Come to church, find 10 people, they lift up their hands that they are worshiping God. They are isolated people. The moment you come out of that church, you will see the level of insensitivity that exists. Somebody is dying, another doesn't care. So long as, even the pastors that head churches, so long as the pew is full, they are happy. They don't care what the person is going through. At the end of the day, let the camera capture it that all the seats are full, and it shows on Facebook that he's doing well. There's no love, there's no connection. And that's why we are preaching messages that is flying over people's head. In fact, nowadays, we are not even concerned if the people are blessed or they understood the message. We want to speak deep things that will go viral on Facebook, so that we will be called mighty servants of God. And at the end of the day, you show up, the great and popular apostle, you can't find 10, 20 people who are strong in this rank. The mighty revelator, you come into that assembly, you can't find strong men who knows God, because it's never about the people. And so when Jesus came, he said what will secure this vision is the depth of love that you have in your heart. Because if love has not come, vision cannot materialize. Love. That's what our generation is lacking. And there are two things that form the foundation of sin: is selfishness and fear. Anywhere you find sin, there is selfishness, there is fear. That's why God gave us love and faith. And our generation, we've not come into a realm where we even start scratching love. Somebody said he's in love with a woman. All he's thinking of is how to disflower her. He doesn't care about the right ordinances. He just wants to satisfy his pleasure. Somebody said he loves his people. All he's thinking is on how to ride on them and get a position. The moment he gets that position, you say you are a House of Reps member. You are representing people in Taka local government, and you are living in Abuja for 4 years. How are you representing these people exactly? No connection. We just use people to get what we are looking for. And that's why our world is dying. It's dying out of the selfishness of men, which becomes the basis for all forms of evil. And so if we must gain accurate vision, that vision must be born from the premise of love. If there's no love, there's no vision. All you are seeing is a mirage born out of selfishness and self-centeredness. It is an error to always think about yourself. If you want to be accurate and impactful in this life, there are 3 ways to judge your possibility. Number 1, think of glorifying God. Number 2, think of improving the lives of others. Then you can now think about yourself. Because there's no way you will glorify God and improve the life of others and you will remain the same. But if you think about yourself only, you will end up not glorifying God and you will end up not improving the lives of others. That kind of life is too tiny to be remembered in eternity. And so the second thing that qualifies, authenticates and validates a vision is the depth of love that is coming from. The next time you have a vision, ask yourself, if I were to judge this vision on the triangle of glorifying God, improving men and myself, where is the highest weight? If it is you, that's not God's vision. Because every vision that comes from God is targeted as glorifying God and improving others. And this is why our life is highly ineffective, because we think ourselves until everything becomes about ourselves. A generation needs to be delivered from selfishness. The third thing about vision, or what qualifies a vision, is the knowledge of the truth. Your vision cannot be accurate if you don't know the truth of God's word. In 1 Timothy chapter 2 verse 4, the Bible revealed to us How knowledge must be consistent with truth. He said God will have all men saved and come to the knowledge of the truth. And so if a man does not yet know the truth of God's word, that man cannot have an accurate vision. I'm telling you why many times what we see ends up becoming selfish. And God does not necessarily put his validation upon it. Now, the reason you need to have God's will is that it is when you know God's will that you please God. You see that in Colossians 1:9 that we read.